Hey everybody, it's the Erica Thomas Show, and I am filling in for my girl today. I am Dawkins, Heglar, and I'm going to try to do Erica Thomas Show some justice today. So we're going to start off today with the breakdown. And on the breakdown today, we're going to go over all of the things that have been happening in the political world across the United States. So we're going to start on the national front, right? We're going to start off with this so-called president number 45 and all his little ranting and raving about there not being a blue wave that hit this country. Let me tell you, he's right. It was not a blue wave. It was a tsunami. And a lot of things got swept in the midst of it. So, as you know, in the House of Representatives, United States House of Representatives, there was 38 seats picked up. Do you know how phenomenal that is for 38 seats to be picked up in a House of Representatives? I mean, it is just outstanding. And he tried to make it seem like, oh, well, this always happens. Well, no, things like this don't always happen. Yeah, sometimes you know, whoever the sitting president is, those who are sitting in the House of Representatives may lose seats. But let me tell you something. No, it was something going on in this country. You know what it was? People were tired of hearing Donald Trump accuse, attack, and belittle everybody in America. I mean, black people, Hispanic people, women, the disabled, everybody, all the time. He's always acted a fool. So we can always see this play out in the mornings, in his daily tweet sessions or throughout the day. I'm convinced somebody needs to take his cell phone away. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So 38 seats picked up in the United States House of Representatives. Big win in Arizona. Hadn't had a Democrat win in forever. Christian Cinema won that seat, and they did not even see that coming. So, woohoo for Christian. So, that's a big win for the United States Senate. Not that it increased the number any, but it still was a big win, big win, big win. Now, we're going to do some more races in a few seconds, but if you have any questions for me today, because today is going to be Ask D, go ahead and start writing them down, and we're going to answer them at the back end of the show. But right now, we're going to continue doing our breakdown of elections. And let me tell you, I am exhausted already. And those of you all who have been watching television, looking at all the madness, you might be exhausted too. But guess what? Freedom is not free, and every vote counts, especially here in the state of Georgia, Florida, Mississippi right now. Baby, the South is hot and on fire. You thought it was on fire when Truman came down here and burnt everything from Columbia to Savannah. No, it's smoking right now. So anyway, so let's go do some breakdowns as far as statewide elections. So we know over in Florida we had, Andrew Gillum running for president against DeSantis. And so we saw a recount going on in certain places. People have been threatened. People have been harassed. But that was a historic and awesome race. I mean, just think about it. He came within 5.5%. Not 5, but 0.5% percentage points. I mean, let me tell you something. He was the underdog from the very beginning in a race with all millionaires, and look where the race went. On Tuesday, he conceded. Next thing you know, the votes kept pouring in. They were finding votes. Look where it headed. I mean, that is something out of this world. And then that Senate race, now that is a hot mess. The Senate race with the current Senator Nelson, and then you have Rick Scott. I mean, come on, really? He just looks like The Walking Dead. But we know that every lawsuit that he has filed in the last couple of days didn't do him any good. You still not gonna, well, he might win. But anyway, you win some, you lose some. But hopefully it'll turn out for the best. Now let's go over to Mississippi for 1 second. I'm just going to talk about that runoff, and then I'll deal with it a little bit more later in the show. Trust me, I will deal with it in depth a little bit later. But we had a great historic race going on. There's a runoff in Mississippi between Mike Epps, many of y'all know him being a former congressman, and the former Secretary of Agriculture. Well, he got back in the race for United States Senate, and he is in a runoff. People did not see that coming as well. But guess what? They never do see us coming. But this race is important because, we only have one black United States Senator in the South, and that's Tim Scott over in South Carolina. we need more black senators in the South because we only have 3 anyway. We have Kamala Harris out in California. Then we have Cory Booker from New Jersey. We need someone from the South. And real truth be told, we need a black woman from the South to be a United States Senator. And now we know that it is possible. And how do we know that? We've seen it in Florida, how close the races were. This runoff with Mike Epps and this lady that I'm going to talk about a little bit later. And especially here in Georgia. Georgia, on my mind. I couldn't even sleep last night. Georgia's so bad on my mind with all this election stuff going, lawsuits flying in every direction, people wanting every vote to count, the Republicans saying that the Democrats stealing elections. Whew, it's enough to run anybody absolutely crazy. But it really is a serious situation. I mean, it's a serious situation. Let's just talk about it for a little while over here in Georgia. Georgia had a Secretary of State by the name of Brian Kemp. And for 8 years, he was overseeing his own elections. That's what I said, 8 years. People say, well, what do you mean, D. Dawkins Heglar, by 8 years? Well, I'm glad you asked. So in 2010, Brian Kemp was the Secretary of State because he had replaced Karen Handel, who had resigned from the position. So he got to oversee his first election, and he was on the ballot for Secretary of State. And in 2010, he was running against a lady, happens to be my sorority sister, Georgiana Singfield, member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. But anyway, he's running against Georgiana Singfield, and we were down at the Georgia General Assembly. And at that time, I was a state rep. And I knew it was a bad idea then for Brian Kemp to be overseeing his own elections. That should never happen. If anything, you should recuse yourself. See, I understand how elections go because the Secretary of State's office, it does handle more than just elections. That's just a, I'm not going to say a small part, but an important piece of, what you do as a Secretary of State. Secretary of State's office is responsible for corporations, for licensing, for securities, for charities, and the keeper and holder and regulator of the state seal. Did y'all know that? But anyway, that's what the Secretary of State does. So I was like, well, he should at least recuse himself from that part of the election and let somebody else handle it. Nobody called for his, recusal to tell him to sit his tails down somewhere. So here we go. Fast forward, 2014 rolls around. Now, 2014 is kind of different because now we really see voter suppression at its peak. We have now started to see the purging of voter files. We have now seen voter intimidation. We have now seen fake allegations of voter fraud all across Georgia. And I'm going to give you all some examples. Let me do it now. So in Jackson, Georgia, you had police officers in 2016 knocking on the doors with deputy sheriffs, knocking on the doors of citizens, asking them if they were really citizens in the state of Georgia and if they really lived where they said they lived. Why? Because they were worried about the demographic change and that they might start losing elections. Guess what? They did. But you still could not use public money to have law enforcement going to intimidate voters and knocking on their doors. Do you know how many older people were probably intimidated and afraid because they probably grew up in an era where it was, some of them might have grew up before the 1965 Voters' Rights Act when people were still, had poll taxes and still had to count how many bubbles in a bar of soap and how many jelly beans might be in a jar, that kind of voter suppression. So you could only imagine what it was like for law enforcement to go to the doors to harass these people to ask them how they're voting. Let's just fast forward another second. Then we've seen things happen in Quitman, Georgia. Voter suppression in every direction. Fake allegations of voter fraud. People got arrested just for registering people to vote and doing absentee balloting, and then they won and flipped entire seats in Quitman, Georgia. I want y'all to look that up later. It's called Quitman 10 plus 2. Get it now, Quitman 10 plus 2. That's y'all homework assignment today. But look what happened in 2018. 14 House of Representative seats were flipped in the great state of Georgia. 14. Now, granted, we lost 3 Democratic seats, but you still had a net pickup of 11 seats in the Georgia House of Representatives and 2 in the Georgia Senate. That's a big win in the state of Georgia. And a lot of this can be attributed to the fact that for the first time we had a black woman, Stacey Abrams, who ran for governor. And baby, she did phenomenal. We should really be proud that Georgia now is a battleground state. Honey, it is no longer red. It is now a purple state. And I'm telling you, if some of this voter suppression would not have happened, it would really have been blue. So anyway, that's what happened in Georgia. But the biggest thing that we can celebrate right now, because, we still in a recount situation right now. It's a lot going on. We had a big win with Lucy McBeth in the 6th Congressional District. Woo! Lucy! Lucy defeated all the odds. People didn't think Lucy could win, but guess what? Lucy ran and Lucy won. For you, some of you who do not know, Lucy McBeth is the mother of the teenage Jordan Davis, who was slain because he was playing loud music in his car, and a white gentleman shot and killed him because he said the music was too loud and all this crazy stuff. But anyway, she is one of the mothers of the movement, and we are just so proud that Lucy, she did what John Ossoff could not do, and that was win. So, Lucy, we are proud. We salute you, and guess what? She my sorority sister, too. Thank you, Lucy. Woo! Now, back to this Brian Kemp dude. In 2014, he oversaw another election of his own. He was running for Secretary of State once again, and this time he was running against Doreen Carter. Now that Doreen Carter now is a state representative. Yes, she is. Representing hard in House District 92 in DeKalb County and Rockdale County. But let me just tell you, he should have never oversaw the elections then when he was on the ballot. I mean, what kind of sense does that make? Well, because we weren't proactive, here we are today, still in this recount. Well, what has happened in Georgia? Well, we talked about the Senate, talked about the House, we talked about Lucy McBeth. We're still trying to watch this race over there with Carolyn Bordeaux. First they called it for her, the next thing they came back and told us that she really didn't have the votes. Child, we don't know what hardly to believe in Georgia because we don't know hardly what to believe in Georgia. But anyway, that's still happening and going on. And real quick, because my time is about to run out on this side for a second, let's talk about our fabulous floaters, Michelle Obama, the real first lady. Well, anyway, Michelle Obama, honey, fabulous in her book called Becoming. Honey, she has been real and unscripted, baby. She been telling it like it is. You better do that thing, Michelle. Michelle done told y'all that she would never forgive Trump, as my mama calls him T-Rump. But anyway, she will never forgive him because she said that man put her children, her family in jeopardy with all this crazy birthday talking. But what do you expect from a reality star who has never really been successful in his life other than take the money of his, dad? There was a time when I tried to read some of his books back in the day, but we don't know what happened to that Donald Trump. So anyway, that's where we are on the election breakdown. We love Michelle Obama, and they better leave our first lady, forever floaters, alone, just like we don't play when they mess with the forever POTUS, number 44, Barack Hussein Obama. We are proud of them. We love them. And so that's our breakdown of the elections, according to Dee, because, Dee going to spin it her own way. But this thing with Secretary of State, it is crucial. But, let me tell you what Brian Kemp did. No, not Brian Kemp. We through talking about him for a minute. Let me tell you about your governor, Nathan Deal. Now, he pulled a gangster move. This man done appointed a black woman to be the Secretary of State, the 28th Secretary of State for Georgia, none other than Robin Crittenton. Honey, I done seen a whole bunch of stuff going on in Georgia. Well, now she is the first black Secretary of State and the first black woman to hold a constitutional office in this state. We got to yet see what she's going to do and how she's going to handle all of this stuff going on with voting. We're going to keep an eye. But see, Robin is an attorney. She's sharp and she's fair. So we got to kind of see where she's going to go with this. She's already told the people to start counting the votes, because every vote counts. So we got to watch and make sure that, she follows the letter of the law, which hopefully she will do. And, knowing her past track record and knowing her the way that I do, I'm sure she will do just that. But let me tell you something. Today down at that Georgia State Capitol, honey, we had press conferences, then more press conferences, then protests, and some more protests. And guess what? Some people got arrested today. Now, let me tell you about the first press conference. The first press conference, it was a faith-based press conference. And that one was led by Reginald T. Jackson, a bishop, presiding prelate of the African Methodist Episcopal Church, and Bishop Thomas Brown, the presiding prelate of the Christian Methodist Episcopal Church. So you had an AME bishop and a CME bishop down at the Georgia State Capitol today handling business. And let me tell you something. They did a great press conference. Wish y'all could have seen it. Followed up by a whole bunch of legislators. Proud to see them standing on the steps telling us that every vote should count. And it really should. You know why? Because people bled and died for us to have the right to vote. So your vote counts. You got to speak up with your vote, speak up with your voice, make sure that you're in the game, make sure that you're part of the democratic process, because people are depending on us to do the right things. Well, that's my breakdown of all the elections in this first session. This is the breakdown. You are watching the Erica Thomas Show. I am D. Dawkins Heglar, filling in for my girl Erica Thomas today, and you will see her soon. She'll be back next week. But if you have any questions, remember, write them down so that you can ask me at the end of the show.
What's up, guys? This is Lipstick and Cognac. Starting on Tuesday, you guys will be on rollingout.com and on our Facebook page, giving you all the tea you need for relationships. Here to help you out, man. Make sure y'all tune in from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Want to watch your favorite talk show, Lipstick and Cognac. Here with that dynamic duo. You don't want to miss Lipstick Shadio comics and just Cognac till like it is personality, man. It's going to be a great time. Make sure y'all tune in. Tune in on rollingout.com. This ROLLINGOUT.com. And also on Facebook, Rolling Out Facebook, man. It's going to be a great time. Y'all don't want to miss this. Great laugh, great talks, realness, truth. Man, we ain't race expert. We know what we talking about. So make sure y'all tune in. rollingout.com, man. Lipstick and Cognac.
Hey everyone, it is your favorite politician, Representative Erica Thomas, and I'm excited to tell you about the Erica Thomas Show, where we break down news and politics in layman terms where everybody can understand it. We start off the show with hip hop and politics, where we might interview your favorite celebrity and we break down hip hop and let you know that it's the same thing as politics, baby. And also coming up after that, we have kids and politics, where we bring on your favorite kid stars and they tell us all about how they feel about politics. And then right after that is the hit list, where we tell you about the fails of the week. Who failed this week in the news and who do we need to know about? It's all happening at 6 o'clock every single Tuesday. I said 6 o'clock every single Tuesday. So you better tune in. You better tune in. You better not miss it. I mean, you better not miss it. The Erica Thomas Show is on live.
It's your girl, D. Dawkins Heglar, and I am back again with you on the Erica Thomas Show. We have been through the breakdown, and now it's time for us to go over our prayer list. Honey, this child has me doing the prayer list. And so we just go, get ready for this prayer list today, honey. We got a lot of people that we got to be praying for in this country, honey. Some in Georgia, some not in Georgia, some in Mississippi, some in Washington, D.C. We got some folks that need some prayer today. We praying, honey. We praying. All right. So we're going to start our prayer list off today with Jill Scott. Yes. Jill. You know, they say Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. And Jill fell down on that stage. But, baby, she was not drinking water. So let me tell you about Jill Scott. Miss Jill, they say, was at a concert, and they thought she had done passed out, Lord have mercy, only to find out that Jill Scott had a microphone in her hand, and she was performing fellatio. That's the best I can do, because I don't want to get bleeped on this show. Honey, making love to the microphone. Yes, they thought the lady had done passed out or died, but she was making love to her microphone on the floor. Baby, she needs some prayer. So let's just pray for Jill Scott today. And, I love Jill. I just don't even know what was happening with that particular situation. So, Jill, you're on the prayer list. Next, let's talk about Melania Trump. Some people I know like to call her melanoma. But we're not going to play around with that because, cancer's a serious thing because, I'm a breast cancer survivor myself. But that doggone Melania Trump, honey, this book done came out about Michelle Obama. So 2 things I got to say about Miss Melania. So first of all, she hating all day, every day on Michelle Obama. Because it's the custom that the outgoing first lady and the incoming first lady have some types of conversation and reach out to each other. And Michelle Obama said that, well, Lady Trump never reached out to her. And Lady Trump responded back by saying, well, if I need any advice or expertise, I'll reach out to those that are already in the White House. Well, Melania Trump, that's not necessarily true because you done plagiarized 2 of her speeches already. So you might not be calling her, but you're stealing her stuff. So we're watching you, Melania Trump. You need prayer. And then you're always telling everybody, don't be a bully. And your husband is the biggest bully of them all. And not to mention, you have now told the people that your husband need to fire a senior official from the national security team. Melania. Who told you that you should be trying to run the country because you having disagreements with people on the national security team? Melania, you can't even get your husband to stop being a bully. And your theme is be best. So I need you to do that. Be best and be quiet. We thank you, Melania. Stop talking. All right, so you on our prayer list today, Melania. Now, someone else on our prayer list today, we're going to go into this. That doggone Republican senator over there in Mississippi. Remember I told y'all I'd come back to that story? Well, I'm back to it. Her name is Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith. Well, Senator Hyde-Smith, you at one of your little functions, and you probably already shocked that, Mike Epstein has you in a runoff. But you done told the people that if one of your supporters or who's and ever it is, invited you to a public hanging, that you would be on the front row. What? Where they do that at? You do know that it's 2018. That's not something you play with around with black folks. We suffer from PTSD already. Because we think about all the stuff that y'all already have done to us, and we can't just handle all that. So, listen, lady, you cannot go around saying things like, if there's a public hanging, I would come, and then I'd be on the front row. See, that's dangerous talk. See, that's that foolish talk. See, this is why people do some of the crazy stuff they do. This is why white men do and say some of the stuff they do, because you have white women sitting around doing and saying crazy things. As a matter of fact, I'm putting a whole bunch of people on the list. I'm putting you on the list, Senator Hyde-Smith, but I'm also right now today putting some white women on the list. You know why? Listen. Across this country where Democrats were all in close races, these white women were turning out voting for Republicans. It didn't matter whether it was in Texas and they turning around voting for Ted Cruz, or whether they in Florida voting for DeSantis, or even here in Georgia where you had a woman on the ballot. 76% of white women done gone and went and voted for Brian Kemp. What's really going on? White women, I'm putting you straight up on the altar for a long time. I need y'all to stay there just for a minute so we can pray and lay hands on you. What were you thinking about? So I don't know how you say that we're in solidarity, because you're the same group, that put Donald Trump in the White House. Y'all better watch it. That's what the old folks used to say back in the day. You better watch it. We got to watch it and make sure that you don't mess up this country, because black women got to save everybody all the time. Well, that's what we do. We save folk. So that's why we got to put y'all on the prayer bench, because y'all making our job extra hard. Now we got to watch our men, make sure they go to the polls and vote, and then watch you and your men. See, we got to watch everybody now. We're watching everybody. And finally, y'all, I don't even understand this beef that's going on between Nicki Minaj and Cardi B. See, I'm older, and I don't even understand what all this beef is about. I'm very confused. But I don't ever recall, Queen Bee carrying on like this. I mean, really? Or, really the Patti LaBelle's of the world, my generation. I don't recall the Aretha Franklin's and everybody getting caught up in all this mess now. This is really getting out of hand, out of control. So I think we probably need to lay hands on them and tell them you are both talented and beautiful and gifted black women. Please, we are begging you. We beseech you on today to get yourselves together. So they're on our altar today. And so that's our prayer list for today. I think I've put enough people on the prayer list. Oh, no, I did not. Let me put your president on the prayer list. He needs to be on there every week because we're going to keep praying for him. Hopefully one day he'll get himself together. Back in the day when I was growing up, they were, I grew up in a Baptist church. They were, in most Baptist churches, I'm talking about way back in the day. Not like in the 80s. I'm talking about, in the 70s, 60s. They put you on the morning bench. And some people today need to be on the morning's bench, and he's one of them who needs to go and lay down prostrate before the Lord and stay there for a minute. Because, Mr. Trump, you seem to have a problem not only with women, but you got a real problem with black women. Because you feel like you can rise up any time and say foolishness to black women. So I thank God that I am not a White House correspondent, because I would have been escorted off the property immediately had you been talking that reckless nonsense to me. Now, I know some people need a job, and some people got to be there because the office of the presidency is fluid and it, ebbs and flows, comes and goes. But that man is talking reckless. Now, how is he going to tell all these educated black women that they are stupid or that their comments mean nothing, or he's watched them and they always sound stupid? See, I would have went straight gutter with him, and that's why I'm not a White House correspondent, because they handle themselves with dignity and class, because that's what we are. We're classy black women, but I promise you, I am a real person, but I can get ratchet. I really can. I'm just a second away from people taking me there every now and then. And I know Jesus, know him to be the savior of my sins. But what you're not going to do is tell me that what I said was stupid and that you watched me and that many of the things I said was stupid. Because I would have said, you know what? You stupid and your mama is too. Now, that's inappropriate. See, that's not how black professional women should conduct themselves. And then I probably would have added something into it. I probably would have said, this is just hypothetical. I really wouldn't have done this. But I probably would have said, you know what? You are stupid, and your immigrant wife too. And see, that's inappropriate. But see, that's how he comes at people all the time, not realizing the hurt that you bring on people when you say what you say. And you really are not conducting yourself like the leader of the free world. You are the leader of the free world, man. You have the red phone and the button in your office. We don't know what you're going to do from day to day because you're always doing and saying something crazy, not rising to the level of the office of which you hold. I mean, the White House Easter egg roll used to be packed out when the Obamas was there. People wanted to go and take their children. Not anymore. Now, people don't even want to go to Halloween stuff. Why? Because you're there. And you're the real monster. You don't even need to put on a costume because your behavior is scary to everybody. Not to mention, people don't want to go to the balls anymore. It no longer looks like the United States of America. I mean, just think about it. You all had the audacity to say that Michelle Obama, people were saying all over the place that she didn't smile and she was wrong for not smiling during the inauguration. What was she going to smile for? Because she already knew what was coming. She already knew, for real, that a misogynist had done got himself into the White House. The same man who says he like to grab them by their private parts. You know what? You and all your crew need to get yourselves together, and we're going to put you on the prayer list, because Michelle Obama was an upstanding, still is an outstanding woman who had to look out into the crowds and saw a lily white sea of people from sea to shining sea. It was no more diversity that her and her husband, that Obama administration had built up over the 8 years. It turned just lily white. That's not America. And you've got to stop scaring Americans. And one more thing while I'm putting you on the prayer list. Where's this caravan? I hadn't heard you. Did you start talking about the caravan after the election? What's going on? Where are all these people that was coming over here to take over America and to to rob and steal and kill us? I mean, where are they? We don't know. Donald Trump, you are on the prayer list, and so that's the prayer list for tonight. I don't know what else we could do with this prayer list on tonight. Is there anybody else that we can add to the prayer list? I mean, I think I've covered so many people who have been doing some nonsensical foolishness in this country. Oh. We're going to put some more people on the prayer list. I didn't finish with Donald Trump. Let me go back to him for 1 second. This whole thing about nationalism, that is reeking of racism up and down every day. Donald Trump, you have got to be serious about the position that you hold. People take your words and they use them for fodder. So you can't embolden people who might or might not be mentally ill, because that's what they claim. Because remember, a lot of shootings have gone on in the last couple of weeks in this country by people they say are mentally ill. You had people shooting up synagogues. You had in Louisville, Kentucky, you had a armed gunman who went in to kill people in a black church. And thank God the church, they were able to see the man and lock the doors of the church. And then you proceed to go to a Kroger's parking lot and start opening fire on the black people that you see. And then you see white people say, well, white people don't kill white people. What are you talking about, sir? This whole nationalism thing. We know what nationalism is. That's code word for racism. And we know it's a big difference between patriotism and racism. So we need you to get all that together, because this generation is not going to be standing for this type of crazy conversation and talk. I mean, can you please for 1 second act like the leader of the free world? And this public hanging thing, remember, Alabama has that new a lynching museum, and so people have been going there, and people said they've been breaking down crying because they've had ancestors who were lynched. They've had, heard of stories of lynching all across this country. And if you're black in America, of a certain age, you've heard about stories of lynching. And it's quite alarming. And so for her to just come out and say that she would go to a public hanging, I mean, how dare she? I mean, y'all, this stuff is real, and it's quite scary because we're living in some crazy days and times in this country. So we've got to be on our Q's and P's and Q's and put everybody we can on the prayer list, because it really, they all need prayer. Oh, I got to put one more person on the prayer list. Child, they done showed out so bad today at that Georgia State Capitol. And what I mean by showed out so bad, I mean democracy has been just downtrodden in this state. You've had people trying to purge people from purge people from the voting rolls. We've had counties where machines wasn't working. We've had counties where the poll workers didn't give the right information. So we're going to put this entire electoral process in Georgia on the prayer list. Because I don't know if y'all know, but in the state of Georgia, the Secretary of State really doesn't even touch local county elections. They get the numbers, they're sent to them. So in Georgia, you have 159 counties, and each county is responsible for executing their own elections. And at the end of the day, they take these numbers and they send them up to the Secretary of State's office. And then the Secretary of State reports them back out to everybody else. And just let me tell you, we've seen crazy stuff happening all over the state of Georgia on election day. People were turned around. Machines weren't working. People were told they could not vote. Some people said they went to vote, and then, I don't know. They said that they had them down as already voting. I mean, it's just a lot to look at. But let me tell you something. We didn't get there on Tuesday, honey. We've been going ahead in that direction for the last 8 years. I mean, Brian Kemp was emboldened to do whatever it is that he did, however the process was. And what we saw on Tuesday was just a culmination of years and years and years of bad behavior. So like I said, we had 2 press conferences, and then we had some people go into the Secretary of State's office to ask that votes be counted. And then that went about peacefully. And then all of a sudden, I seen a sending, honey. All the men in blue and gray at the Georgia State Capitol. I have never seen that many Capitol Police and law enforcement descend on an office that was a peaceful demonstration in my entire whole life. I mean, I don't even know where they came from. That's why I had to go ahead and tape it. If you want to see it, you can always go to the Dawkins Heglar page and look at it. It was very disturbing. But anyway, the next protest came. You had all these civil rights groups and Black Voters Matter and Black Lives Matter and all these other groups, and they were protesting and chanting because the day was, a special session in the state of Georgia. So the legislators been in special session. Chanting was loud. You couldn't even hear because the building was so loud. Then they get to arresting people, child. They done arrested people. Child, they done went and arrested Senator Nikema Williams. Let me tell you something. She is the vice president of the Georgia Democratic Party. She has a seat now that Senator Vincent Ford used to have. He would get arrested at the drop of a dime. He would stand up against injustice all the time, anytime. Well, I guess it's true to nature. Whoever gets in that seat, they going to be arrested. But, honey, we going to pray for her because she stood up for the people. Let every vote count. Every vote count. Honey done got arrested, but we appreciate you today, Nikema Williams, for your fight. We really, really, really appreciate that. So we're going to put all this stuff on the prayer altar today for supplication and just deliverance for those who are fighting, for those who just sit at home talking, who sit on social media all day because you social media activists and don't know what it's like to beat the street, knock on doors, make calls. We're going to pray for you too, that you will stop being a social media activist and that you will actually get out in the game because we need you to be a part to fight for our democracy. Well, one more shout out. They don't need to be on the prayer list because they're doing a great job, and that is that Black Voters Matter. Shout out to you, Cliff Albright. Shout out to you, Latasha Brown. Y'all doing the doggone thing. The South is rising. The Black Bus, tour. They done been all across the South, energizing people, getting them out to vote. Woohoo to you. We praying for y'all strength. We praying for everybody. Anybody, everybody. We all need prayer. Pray for me. Pray for me. Because, honey, I need prayer. Well, that is the prayer list today. I think we've covered everybody. The prayers have come in. And so now we're going to a commercial break. Woo! When praises go up, blessings come down. We're praying for them all. This is D. Dawkins Heglar on the Erica Thomas Show.
With customizable streaming TV from Xfinity, watch the most free TV shows, hit movies, and live sports on the go. At home, access Netflix, YouTube, and Pandora right from your TV. And with the X1 voice remote, just say it and see it.
Show me HBCU.
With Black Film and TV, watch your favorite college entertainment, HBCU football games, and much more. Xfinity. Simple, easy, awesome.
Hey everyone, it is your favorite politician, Representative Erica Thomas, and I'm excited to tell you about the Erica Thomas Show, where we break down news and politics in layman terms where everybody can understand it. We start off the show with hip hop and politics, where we might interview your favorite celebrity and we break down hip hop and let you know that it's the same thing as politics, baby. And also coming up after that, we have kids and politics, where we bring on your favorite kid stars and they tell us all about how they feel about politics. And then right after that is the hit list, where we tell you about the fails of the week. Who failed this week in the news and who do we need to know about? It's all happening at 6 o'clock every single Tuesday. I said 6 o'clock every single Tuesday. So you better tune in. You better tune in. You better not miss it. I mean, you better not miss it. The Erica Thomas Show is on live.
Customizable streaming TV from Xfinity, watch the most free TV shows, hit movies, and live sports on the go. At home, access Netflix, YouTube, and Pandora right from your TV. And with the X1 voice remote, just say it and see it.
Show me HBCU.
With Black Film and TV, watch your favorite college entertainment, HBCU football games, and much more. Xfinity. Simple, easy, awesome.
Hey, I'm back. It is D. Dawkins Heglar here on the Erica Thomas Show. I know you all miss Erica today. Don't worry, she'll be back next Tuesday. But we are in the final stretch of the show today, and we're going to talk about some things with hip hop and politics and what's happened here over the last few weeks. And do celebrity endorsements really have an impact on elections? And if so, how and why? And so first we're going to start off talking a little bit about some of the star power that was around the country during the election. We know that over in Texas, we had the girl B. We love B. Beyonce. She endorsed Beta over at the last minute, and he didn't win. But that endorsement probably should have came maybe a little bit earlier, because what you want to do is give the people time to marinate. You know, you had Taylor Swift out there telling everybody to get out and vote and register, and that spiked up the number of people, certain demographics who went out to register to vote. So it does have an impact that way. Then we went over to Florida, and Andrew Gillum had a hip-hop concert out of this world. I mean, you had people like Will Packer, who was out introducing people, Angela Rye, what is her name? Angela Rye. She came out and talked to the people. And then you had none other than Puffy, P. Diddy. I don't know what his name is now. But anyway, he came out and he was coming out strong, representing, Will Packer was a FAMU graduate. And then you have, Puffy, who is the P. Diddy, who is the Howard graduate. And so HBCUs were representing hard and strong in the house. Yeah. Andrew Gillum, a graduate of FAMU himself. And then, we have a lot of candidates who are, graduates of historically black colleges and universities. So let's fast forward. You had people who came down to Florida, all type of stars who was thumping day by day for Andrew. And then over here in Georgia and Florida, you had President Barack Obama. Baby, they pulled out the big gun. And a lot of people said, that it was a celebrity endorsement. I was like, first of all, he was the president of the United States. And I don't know if I necessarily call him celebrity, but honey, he really was the big gun. And he brought out, the people, the enthusiasm. It was a great day in Georgia. And we saw celebrities up and down Georgia celebrating and endorsing Stacey Abrams. I mean, we saw all kind of people, even people from Will Ferrell all the way to the other side. I just can't think of the number of people, but the big surprise, honey, the queen herself. Auntie O came to town. Do you hear me? Oprah Winfrey came to town, honey, and she campaigned for Stacey Abrams, even knocked on a couple of doors. We saw her out in Cobb County, did a special session. Then she was over in DeKalb County. Now, I could not be there myself. I was in New York, honey. I was, on that other station that I won't call today, doing a live show. But I sent my two daughters and my daughter-in-law, I sent them over to see Oprah, honey. They said they sat in that audience and they thoroughly enjoyed hearing from the queen herself. I'm talking about my daughters, 25, 26, and 19, okay? So that just tells you that generation, Oprah still has that type of reach. And let me tell you, my 19-year-old, she didn't grow up watching Oprah on television like that. But she still understands the power of Auntie O, okay? Auntie O came to town. So I do think that had some type of impact on elections here in Georgia. When I went to see President Obama over at Morehouse College, Stacey Abrams, she's a graduate of HBCU too. That's Spelman College. Okay, so anyway, when I went to see President Obama, it was celebrities all around. Sitting in front of me was my soror, Keisha Knight Pulliam. Y'all know her from being on the Cosby Show. And sitting right next to me, I had Chris Tucker, and sitting right beside him was Jermaine Dupri. Listen, I'm telling y'all, we're in the house. I saw Lynn Whitfield in the house. I saw, they even had some, I don't know his name. It'll come back to me in a minute. But There were all type of celebrities in the house. I'm trying to think of this rapper's name that was in the house, and they were laughing at me because I was like, what does he do? Oh, 2 Chainz. 2 Chainz. Because somebody said there's 2 Chainz. And I was like, 2 Chainz? And it's like, no. But anyway, the man was there. He was there, and that's what matters. I mean, we saw T.I. Sit down with a candid conversation with Stacey Abrams another day. So celebrities, they really, tried to come out in this election. But we can't wait, to a month or 2 out of an election to get celebrities involved and the hip-hop generation and movement involved in the political campaigns. I mean, we've got to start early because you've got to start building your farm team. Because, before you go to the big league, you have a farm team, like in baseball. You've got to start that now. Because if you start now grooming people, then, they'll be ready to show up and show out. And we need more young people running for office more than ever before. So guess what, y'all? Erica Thomas, that is Representative Erica Thomas, she is getting ready to start the hip-hop caucus. Y'all heard me, the hip-hop caucus. I'm going to be helping her out on that. I'm a little old, so I might not be hipping and hopping, but I'll give y'all at least a hip or hop. But this is important, the hip-hop caucus. And what this caucus will be doing is engaging millennials and those who are not so millennial to get involved in the political process early on to see what you think are the issues and how we can engage voters all across spectrums and be intergenerational so that we can really bring them out to continue to turn the tides in the electoral process. Now, that being said, we have some questions that we want to talk about, but this hip-hop caucus is very important. Listen, young people in Georgia alone, it was a 416% increase in the numbers of those who were 18 to 29 voting. Did you hear me? For at least a 400% increase in the number of voters in that age range. I mean, that didn't just happen in Georgia. It happened all across the country. Can you believe that? So if young people just realize how much power they actually yielded, it will have such a great impact. So our future really is in your hands. And not just the future, but now, today, is in your hands. And so we thank you all for showing up, for going to the polls and voting and making your voices be heard. Well, we need you not to stop there because, we had a few more, we probably would have had a different outcome and people wouldn't be trying to find votes under rocks and in trees and, we doing it all. So we need you. We need you now. I'm not going to speak for anybody else, but I'm telling you, I know that I need you. We need you. We need you to continue to show up, and you did this go around. And those of you all who voted in Georgia for the first time, your college students here, don't get weary and well-doing. Maybe this election didn't go right, and you were standing in long lines, and people were saying you couldn't vote, and you had to vote provisional. Don't give up. This is democracy in the making. This is just, it's progress. It's a process. And so with the process will come progress. We just got to be patient and wait. But not wait a long time, but just be patient because we're going to get this whole entire electoral system together. And sometimes things happen so that things can change because you're change agents. You really are. We all are. And so sometimes things have to happen so that the light can be shed on situations, and you can't always be the only one that's out in the wilderness, screaming. You got to find other people who have something in common with you. You work together for a common good, and that's what I see that came out of this election. A lot of people's like, oh my God, Donald Trump is the president, and how could this ever happen? But let me tell you something. The election of Donald Trump led to more people praying more than ever before and more people registering to vote and voting than ever before. So we can give him credit for something, and that is he got people out to the polls, either for him or against him. That joker got people to the polls. And so this hip-hop caucus, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be phenomenal. I know that Representative Thomas, Erica's going to get people out, get them motivated, bring them down to get people engaged in the political process. It's going to be a great, great thing and a great, great day. Okay, do we have any questions? Oh, they're coming up? Oh, so we're still, okay. I'm sorry. Y'all know I'm new to this show today, so I'm trying to follow the format. And, Representative Erica Thomas is watching, so I got to be on my best behavior. And I did good because I did not say one word of profanity today. Not one. And so this hip-hop caucus is going to be an awesome thing. She started all type of different things. This is going to be great. But let me tell you something. The millennials are really doing it up because we were all in an organization called the Young Elected Officials Network. And let me tell you something. Kristen Cinnamon, she was a member of the Young Elected Officials Network. It was co-founded by someone right here from Georgia, Representative Alicia Cromartie, right here in Georgia. Alicia Thomas, right here. And then you had Andrew Gillum, who was one of the main founders of the Young Elected Officials Network. This is how most of us, this is how I met Andrew and all the others and Chris. And so I'm telling you, and they're running things all across this country, members of the Young Elected Officials Network. So I'm not so young now, but I was much younger back then. So here's some of our questions on today. Question number 1. It says, Dear Erica Thomas, so I'm looking at all the aftermath from the elections, and I just have to ask, why can't they just concede and pick a governor? Sign, oh, Lord, what is going on? Oh, honey, I need to hear some Marvin Gaye saying, what's going on, what's going on? Well, let me tell you what's going on. Well, what's going on in Georgia right now is they're trying to make sure that every single vote is counted. And I know it's easy to say, let's just go ahead and concede and throw in the towel and be done. But sometimes you got to fight for what you believe in. And right now, Stacey Abrams believes that this is a fight that needs to be fought, and others as well believe that you got to keep on pushing, keep on fighting, because every vote needs to count. And really, every vote does need to count. So right now, while people are saying, what is it? What is going on? And why don't you concede and pick a governor? Well, this is one of the things I said last week when I was doing coverage on one of the other stations. I told them that I thought on Tuesday night that Brian Kemp should not concede, and he did not on Tuesday night. But good gracious, the very next day he went on ahead and claimed victory. He claimed victory the next day. And I told him that was very problematic. And they said, why would you say that he won? There's no way that she could come back. I said, you should never count anybody out until all votes are counted. Like we used to say, back in the day and back in church, it ain't over till the fat lady sings. Well, we still singing here in Georgia. So we got to make sure that all the votes are counted here. And I said, well, what's the problem if he has to wait until Friday or wait a few more days just to see how the votes turned out? And they were like, why would he do that? I said, why not do that? If you want to be the governor that governs everybody in this state, and we already see that we have a very racially divided state, then a real leader would wait just for the goodwill of the people and not go out and claim victory, and at least let the process play out. And I'm not saying forever, but he could at least let the process play it out till the votes were certified. I mean, good gracious, Brian, till the votes are certified. That's all we're asking of you. But that didn't happen like that. He claimed victory. Went over there and had a press conference with Governor Nathan Deal. He accepted his victory speech. They started the transition. Then Brian Kemp resigned. Honey, it was all orchestrated. He had every intention of trying to resign from office once he had got this election and had become, in his mind, the governor of Georgia. They have already started the transition process. People have been getting calls asking them to serve in the positions of commissioners. You have people who have already been designated to be on boards and commissions. How do I know? I'm glad you asked me, because I know some of them. Let me tell you, he did not waste any time. And he said, well, I've got to get going because I've got to raise money for my inaugural ball. Now, truth be told, you do have to raise a couple of $1 million for your inaugural ball. But who's going to be that ball? That ball is going to look like Donald Trump's inauguration. It's going to be covered. It's going to be a sea of white lilies from sea to shining sheet. See, except for them 12% of black men that voted for Brian Kemp, would you please tell me where they got 12% of black men to vote for Brian Kemp? Where did they find them? Where? Where are they? That means somebody's child, somebody's Pookie, somebody's Ray Ray done went out there and voted for Brian Campbell. We gonna find you. We is gonna figure out how this could have happened. But we're not gonna play it down because this is a serious issue. If black men are feeling that Brian Kemp or Donald Trump can speak to their needs, we've got to find out why and fix it. We really do. We've got to look at what's happening here in America and do something better about it. Okay, the next question. Dear Erica Thomas, I voted in the election, but I'm honestly not sure if my vote was counted for. I know they did a recount, but is it okay? Is it too late to assume that my vote was counted? Signed, my vote should count. So basically somebody's asking, they voted, but they don't even know if their vote counted. Well, let me tell you, we hope and pray that your vote was counted. That is the purpose of democracy. And so here there is recounting going on in a lot of different places. Some places are going to just go ahead and certify, but we just hope that your vote is counted. I'm going to tell you that if you went and you voted by a regular touchscreen machine, or if you voted by an absentee ballot, go and check and see if your vote was tallied or in the system, and go to www.mvp.sos.ga.gov and see if they have you listed, if you did an absentee ballot, to see if it shows that your that ballot was actually processed. But if you showed up early, do an early vote, and you voted by touchscreen, yes, your vote should have counted, yes. And if you went on election day, your vote should have counted unless you did a provisional ballot, in which most of them are being counted now. So we are grateful that there is a new Secretary of State in charge. People have been saying stuff, trying to drag her, but we've got to give her a fair chance, because people say, well, why would she go over there and take that job on in 2 months? Well, let me tell you something. She only had 2 more months on the other job anyway. And why not elevate your career and become the Secretary of State and the first black woman to be a constitutional officer? We don't have to drag one black woman just to elevate another black woman. We can all do this together, because we got. Did y'all get that? We got. So those are our questions for today. This has been a great day. This is D. Dawkins Heglar. I filled in today for my girl Erica on the Erica Thomas Show. Erica will be back with you all next Tuesday at 6 o'clock p.m. And make sure you tune in. Remember, make sure you tune in next Tuesday to the Erica Thomas Show. D. Dawkins Heglar, and I am out. Y'all be blessed and enjoy.